happy place again. Here we go, another session. We are entering spring now, definitely. I can sense that in my art and also in nature. So let's be inspired by the natural organic shapes of leaves and foliage. And this time we're having creative project with watercolor stains and creating with doodling or black line drawing on top of their patterns. They don't have to be all realistic. It's very much experimentation and see how you want to portray some natural shapes, how you want to play with them. All you need is just watercolor and black pen. And I'm looking forward to see what you create, because every piece will be completely different. I know that. Okay, share on our Facebook page and I'll see you again. Bye bye. Okay, let's get started. So this is more spring kind of project. We're looking at shaped leaves, feathers and things we can find in natural environment. We can be using watercolors, black pen or fine liner. They work really well with watercolors as long as your first layer of watercolor is dry. So the first stage, and I'll be creating probably 9 different designs. We'll be creating some stains of watercolors, and on top of that, when it's fully dry, we're going to be drawing patterns of leaves using different designs. So let's get started. So I'm going to go a bit of wet on wet, but not too wet. So what I'm doing, I'm just drawing semi shape of leaf, and it's about different shapes, picking up different shapes. And then with my watercolor, I'm just coloring that in and try to have maybe some areas a bit darker, so there's more watercolor there. Just thinking about shape, that can be a bit bigger because I want to do 3. Okay, so that's single color. Let's try something with 2 colors and a bit different shape. So maybe this time more like a heart but upside down. So I've done wet on wet. It still has, you probably can see because it still has a bit of green. This one, let's go for yellow. And let's do 2 color design. I'm gonna add a bit of orangey red kind of color. Okay. So this you see, very simple. Here, this one I added more watercolor one side, so you have this lovely blending effect. Okay, let's have something more like a peacock leaf. So you have a shape, sorry, peacock feather I meant. Okay, and let's go with blue. So that needs to dry because the rest of it I'll be just drawing. Okay, so 3 designs, let's do 3 more. So this time leaves, but more with a spiking ends. Okay, and color wise going for olive green. More color in the middle and spreading it. And there's no right and wrong, of course, because you be creating your own. If you want, get out to the garden or park, maybe be inspired by something that's there. Okay, so let's carry on. Something longer. And this one is the two colors, but I'm just adding a bit of brownish on the edges. Lovely. Okay. So now let's go for shape. Let's narrow at the bottom, getting wider and then getting narrow again. And let's come back to greens, the lighter green. And some darker green, maybe at the tip. There we go, at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do 3 more. Now they don't have to be all natural color, you can experiment with the colors. Because you're going to be adding drawing on top of that and it'll be different doodles, whatever you want. So this is like a folded kind of shape. And let's add some purple here, I think that'll be interesting. Right, so I'm going to add 2 more, and that needs to fully dry, because if you go with your pen on top of that, you're going to ruin the pen. So unfortunately, it's a bit of being patient and waiting, or if you're using like a heat gun, just be careful, or hair dryer so you don't blow it in all directions. Maybe just leaving it, you know, to dry naturally. This green is almost dry. You know, it's just watercolor, it doesn't take long. So I'm going to come back to you with the drawing stage. Okay, so we're back. It needs to be fully dry. You see I started working on this one, but I'll guide you through the rest. And if you allow this watercolor dry naturally, you're gonna get those lovely areas that are darker when the paint gathered in the pigment. So that's why I left it. I didn't use anything to speed up drying. Look at this leaf already, having different layers of greens. The same with this one, created 2 layers. Look at that. You know, and that gives you another way of working with your drawing, because it adds more dimension when you add drawing on top. So be patient, leave it to dry, and I think that's the best way. So I started with this one, just a black pen. It could be biro, it could be, you know, a cheap pen, doesn't have to be expensive fine liner, as long as you make sure this is fully dry, so it's not gonna get into your pen. And you can do, you know, whatever you want with it. Add some patterns. I'm going to add some dots here. So that's my first one. Let's look at this one. So first thing, I'm just thinking about the shape. How can I build up stem in here? So I'm going to go this way. Okay, so we have that. And maybe some sections build up. So if you want to, you can keep it very natural, but if you fancy something more doodle style, like here I added some dots, but here you may even add different designs and patterns as you go along. Okay, that's another one. Just gonna make this part a bit thicker. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's go for this one here. So you can treat them as leaves, you can treat them as doodle material, or you can imagine the little trees. Like this one actually could, if you know, if the trunk was thicker, that could be almost resembling tree. So it's about, you know, playing with it and seeing what can happen. So this reminds me very much of autumn kind of leaf. So I can see I have light and dark area here, so I'm going to play with that and make the top one with a different pattern. Create different pattern top and different at the bottom. So this is very much doodle style, when it doesn't really resemble natural look, but it's more about drawing on top. And you know, you can try a variety of styles so they're on them. So this one is going to be doodle style. I want to show you working section by section. So you can divide your leaf into section and each give a different pattern. And one more here. And a zigzag. So that's another way of working with those colored stains, really. So you know, there's so much possibility, you can keep adding and adding. So have a go. What you need: just watercolor, fully dry, black pen on top of that, and have fun. Let me know what you created.